Welcome back to the Budget Bourbon Games, and can you believe in that first challenge that very old Barton ran away with it? I was really surprised with this. It's not something I drink very often. I do drink that 100 proof, and especially the Bourbon version of that. It is very good. I was really surprised. But this time, in this episode, we've got a few different new bottles here, all in the 80 proof category. We've got 4 different samples here, all been mixed up, and I'm hoping to find out something new about my palate. There's a few different things up here, and I'll go through those as I'm sort of drinking these. But I'm going to go ahead and start out with our first pour here. Random order. Again, sort of mix these up and walked away, mix them up, walked away, mix them up, walked away, and that way I would have a very hard time figuring out what these are. That fades like nothing for me. Like super nothing. I don't get much on the nose. I'm actually filming this late at night, so I've had a full day of eating, so my palate's probably wonky, but whatever this is, it's very basic. Let's talk about some of these bottles. First up, let's talk about this. This is Old Charter. The Old Charter brand was established in 1874, but after Prohibition, it was acquired by Bernheim, and in 1937, that was sold to Schenley, and I think we've talked about Schenley before. But then in 1987, it was acquired by United Distillers. And then finally, the brand was purchased by Sazerac, who you may be aware of. And now this is distilled by Buffalo Trace. And this is mash bill 1. It's their low rye mash bill. So it's the same thing, same juice as Buffalo Trace, E.H. Taylor, George C. Stagg, Stagg Jr., and of course, Eagle Rare. Because this used to be age stated at 8 years, it used to say 8 years up here. And they changed it to a no age statement. And because of that, I don't know whether it's been settled or not. It's not clear whether it ever got settled. There was a false advertising lawsuit. And it used to say 8 seasons down here, and people were very confused by 8 seasons. And there's 2 seasons in a distilling year, not 1, which some people seem to be very confused about. Anyway, Old Charter 8, non-age stated on the bottle, so at least 4 years. Getting some corn notes off of this, some sort of like corn must. A little medicinal, maybe a little bit of medicinal. I got a little bit of medicinal on that, but it wasn't really worth mentioning. Okay, so this is a lot more flavorful than whatever that is. Sort of standard bourbon, but not dialed up enough for me to pick up a lot off of it. I'm not picking up those weird orange and peanut notes that I was first round, which is good. Like I said, this one has got a little bit more of that medicinal taste. I don't necessarily think that's bad. I could totally drink this. I would guess better on the rocks than what we're dealing with here. I just caught a little bit of melon off of this. Okay, not terrible, not great. Which brings us to Henry McKenna. This is made in Heaven Hill, and of course that is in Bardstown, Kentucky, world bourbon capital. It's named for an Irish immigrant who adapted his family whiskey recipe. His family whiskey recipe to work with the grains that he found in Kentucky, and this was all took place in around 1838. The bottle and bond version of this has become really popular and is really just a chase bottle at this point, and very tough to come by. It was also one of the first bottles of bourbon I've ever owned. The mash bill on these is the same as Elijah Craig and Evan Williams. Now, the next two we're going to talk about are age stated at 36 months. This is not, so at least 4 years. And again, these aren't in the order I'm talking about them, but ooh, okay. I like that. I'm getting that little bit of corn dust. It actually, this one has a little bit more bite to it than the other ones so far. I'm getting some cherry off of this as well. Almost like a weird, there's a weird smell coming off this, almost like a rubbery, after swirling it. I don't get it like after it's sort of dissipated. Man, what is that smell? Maybe a little bit woody. Something not quite vegetal, but not quite wood. Somewhere in between. It's definitely sweeter than the first two, which I actually like. I like a sweet bourbon. I don't believe any of these are high rye, so probably going to fight with that because my palate tends to like a little bit more spice. But I so far prefer this. I'm just going to push this forward. And let's talk about Kentucky Tavern. Now, this was the only one of these that was not a neck pour, but this brand was initially produced and owned by our Monarch Distillery, who went bankrupt in 1898 and then was purchased by James Thompson in 1901, who renamed the company Glenmore Distillery and still labeled as Glenmore Distillery. In 1903, Kentucky Tavern was actually trademarked, but this is now made by Bardstown Distillery. So it does say bottled Glenmore Distillery, Louisville, Kentucky. But made by Barton, probably distilled in Bardstown. Could be also distilled, I suppose, in Frankfurt, because I think they also have a distillery there. Interesting fact, though, in 2019, this whiskey was awarded the bronze by the World Whiskey Awards for Best Kentucky Bourbon, which is not bad for a $10 bottle. So I'll be interested to see where this ends up. I can tell you this. The first time I had Old Charter 8, I was very, very, very not impressed. I will not be surprised if this first one is not Old Charter 8. Okay. Getting classic bourbon notes that you would normally get off of any smell here. Ooh, that's really good. Okay. That's really good. I'm getting like, this tastes like bourbon. There's nothing off in this. I know last week after I shot the 80 proofers, I went and had like a pour of JTS Brown bottled and bond, and I was like, oh wow, that's what bourbon tastes like, right? Your classic caramel, vanilla. This tastes like bourbon. Like the rest of these taste like bourbon, but bourbon. So I'm going to assume it's 1 and 2, but oh god. Ooh. Okay. Still get that weird funkiness on it that I can't place the scent. I cannot place the scent. Still really good though. And I think it might be because of like the sweetness of it rather than yeah, I like this the most. So I'm going to go ahead and order these. I will double check those, but let's talk about this guy. Evan Williams Green Label. Now, like McKenna, this one is not mentioned on the Evan Williams website. We haven't talked much about Evan Williams, but the story is that he was a Welsh immigrant who came to the U.S. in the late 1700s and settled in what is now Louisville, where he began distilling in 1783. It is labeled as the Kentucky's first distiller. Now, of course, that last part is very much in dispute. There's some rumors that he didn't even come to the U.S. until probably like 1794 or something like that. So, and not to Kentucky immediately. So probably delayed, but it's fine. You know, Elijah Craig, there's all kinds of lore around all of this stuff. It is a charcoal filtered, but I do think, it says charcoal filtered there, I do think this is different than the Lincoln County process, which is the maple charcoal. And I also think that this is charcoal filtered after aging rather than before, which is where the Lincoln County process takes place. Now, the modern whiskey brand of Evan Williams was introduced in 1957. As before with McKenna, this is made by Heaven Hill and is the same mash bill as McKenna and the others. And we will have 2 more expressions of EW in this competition. So yeah, let's try and figure out what's left here. I'm getting more sweetness off this the first time, but it just dies. Like the finish just dies. More sweetness, better finish. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just sweet and nothing. So let's take a look. And I think this is the order we're going to keep it in. Be shocking if it ends up being full chart on the other end. Okay, so that was Kentucky Tavern. That was number 4. Uh-oh. This was the Henry McKenna. Old Charter at number 2. That is a big surprise. Maybe there's a lot of bottle variants, and which would make this, of course, the Elijah Craig. If there's a lot of bottle variants in that Old Charter, which I've heard there is in a lot of the Buffalo Trace products, maybe I just got a bad one the first time around. Evan Williams. So that is great. So that joins us with the very old Barton. So that is pretty interesting. And I'm actually very interested to know that Old Charter actually, I like that better now. But also still had that weird funkiness to it. I'm not sure what that's about. The other two just didn't provide much finish to them at all. Anyway, that was great. Looking forward to a nice day of recovering from drinking a couple ounces of bourbon in 15 minutes and then going about my workday. So join us tomorrow for the next episode of the Budget Bourbon Games. Cross my fingers. I still need to source that benchmark. I think I know where I can go buy it tomorrow. So we'll see. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks for watching. We truly hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share this episode. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. To stay up to date, follow us on social. We are at Bourbon Fridays on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. See you next time.